Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our coffee and conversation. Uh, I am Craig, one of your recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center, and as always, it's a pleasure to be before you. Give me a moment. I'm looking for this group for today, which is the 21st. There we go. All right, ain't gonna be long. Just want to, if there's anyone that's watching this, they will be able to log on and be a part of what we are doing today here at Capital Recovery Center. All right, there we go. And so, as always, we're gonna have a topic for you. Share some of my ideas, and so if you ever see this coffee conversation support group, feel free to be a part of what we are doing here at the office. All right, and so let's get right into it. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of a safe addiction recovery environment. This is our coffee conversation support group. And so this article is brought to you by DiamondHouseDetox.com. We always go online and get some very good content for the audience. And so without further ado, let's get right into it. And so the article says, did you know that addiction changes a person's brain chemistry? The addicted brain puts systems in place to protect the addiction and keep the addict returning to the substance or behavior. But to overcome addiction is not only the inner environment that must be restructured, but the external as well. So it says now to overcome addiction, we can't just focus on the external or outer aspect of the environment, that things that we can touch, feel, things of that nature with the five senses, but the internal aspect, our psychological, our emotions, things of that nature that we can identify the mood that we be in. So it says, are you struggling to beat your addiction, but still living in an addict's life? It's hard enough to change what is inside while everything on the outside still points you back toward addiction. And so a lot of times people fight the addiction process and yet still struggling with other aspects of their lives. When recovering from addiction, the state of your recovery environment is just as important as the treatment you receive, right? The state of your recovery environment is very important, just as the treatment that you receive, right? And so there's many factors to consider. This article is going to address some of the factors that all of us, me included, must adhere to, stay focused, recognize, and address. They say, read on and we'll show you the significance of environment. What's up, my dude? All right. And so we got E here, Emmanuel, and so he's with us as well. So all those who may hear me make mention of those who are in attendance. However, we have a system in place that for now, we're not able to show their face. They love to be on. I know they would, but until we work out the kinks, we have to allow them to remain anonymous physically. But verbally, they are here. What's up, man? Good. You shining, man. Yes, sir. You shine. All right. And so I'm just reading the intro. I'm down at the bottom paragraph where it says, read on and we'll show you the significance of environment and addiction. recovery and how to structure a proper recovery environment for yourself. Right? So on the next page, we're going to be discussing your current environment promotes using. Your current environment promotes using. So I'll read the first, and if you want to read the next segment, you're more than welcome to. All right. It says the article says the addiction is the center of the addict's life, just as their brain is restructured to allow for addiction. The addict has built everything else in their life around the addiction as well. All the people you see, places you go, and the things you do have been set up around your habit. All the reasons that cause you to start or keep your addiction are still hanging around in your old life, right? So just to sum it up, people, places, and things, all right? And all the triggers, right? All the stimuli, all the things that may trigger you to indulge, the things or situations that have pushed you to relapse over and over again are still there. So we're talking about the environment, even though some people a lot of us, we come out of treatment, but still we may return back to our old environment. So that is could be a hindrance. It could be a challenge for a lot of us because of financial reasons, we might not be able to move on to another environment. However, but we still have to find a way to keep that environment healthy and safe. So the article goes on and says, you can't expect to overcome an addiction if you're still living an addict's life, right? Living that way is one of the main things that has kept you addicted. It's why many recovering addicts keep falling into relapse. So a lot of times it's a mind state, a mindset as well. So we not have our thought process, perception together. We're gonna fall into a lot of the same old traps that we did before. Your recovery environment can't be the same as your addictive environment. Overcoming addiction will require a major overhaul of your external environment, one centered around recovery instead of addiction. If recovery is going to be your new normal, it will require a completely different type of life, right? So it challenges. So the article is basically challenging us to think outside of the box. What can we do outside of the old habits? So we call that new normal. That was what we thought or we indulged and thought was normal. Now we are working on a new normal. So the next part we're going to be talking about, and that is
the recovery environment needs less stress. Negative emotional states like stress, depression, and anxiety are major contributing factors in one's addiction cycle. One of the first things that must be addressed when reconstructing your life is recovery, is how to properly handle stress. Take a look at your life and determine what your biggest source of stress are. See what you can do to reduce stress in these areas first. Two common sources of stress are taking on one more work than you can handle or procrastinating what needs to be done until work piles up. See what you can do to prioritize your life to avoid these stressors. Eliminate or delegate tasks where you can and take care of important tasks right away. Restructure your life to avoid as many stressors as you can. For stressors you can avoid, learn effective de-stressing techniques. Stretching, diaphragmatic breathing, meditation, and other mindfulness practices are helpful for handling stress. These gradually teach your physical body not to overreact to stress and how to calm down when your stress shows up. Cognitive behavioral therapy can also help.
CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So it challenges us not only to work on our physical, but it also challenges us to work on our mental. So both of them plays very important role, because a lot of times you may see a person work just only on their physical. You don't go to the gym, go to Planet Fit, you're gonna go out to the park, go to the rec center, whatever you work out in your basement. And fail to neglect, let me work on my mental aspect, and that is to go to some support groups such as this and read some material, share some ideas with people, bounce some ideas off one another. And so I was told a long time ago, if you want to test a theory, challenge it like you would do a boomerang. If you throw it up in the air, or if you put it out there in the atmosphere and it don't come back same way you threw it, then you might have to throw it again or put it in the atmosphere or rethink the whole process. The next one, I'm going to read this one, and that is your recovery environment needs to be healthier. Addiction causing stress is also perpetuated by an unhealthy lifestyle. Maintaining a good diet and getting 8 or 9 hours of sleep will significantly reduce stress in your life. Exercise is excellent for promoting health and reducing stress. It releases endorphins, right, into the body, which relieve physical and emotional pain that can lead to addiction. It can also help reverse changes done to the brain by addiction. So that's a healing process when we eat right, we sleep right, we exercise. There's a healing. And so we call that a holistic approach, So it's mind, body, and soul. We're working on everything. So not only we are maintaining, but we mind training. All right. And so the next one.
The recovery environment needs to be more supportive. Restructuring your recovery environment also means recognizing the relationships in your life as you create your new normal. Your life needs to change completely, and the friends and family you keep in your life needs to be understanding of that. This will be extremely hard to accomplish if you don't tell anyone. Find one or a few close loved ones you can confide in this to. It's easier to make big changes in your life if those close to you understand what you are going through. If you do not have anyone close to you to tell, you must join a 12-step program or recovery support group and form close relationships with other recovering addicts there. Also, you must eliminate any relationships that are bad influence or hinder your recovery. You may have friends who enable your addiction or use with you. If they won't be understanding and supportive of your recovery, associating with them will only incite you to relapse. If the friends in recovery with you, it's still a bad idea to meet with them unless accompanied by a non-addict friend or family. Unless you are completely, unwaveringly recovered, it is not a good idea to meet with other recovering addicts except in a group setting.
Okay, and so that's some good stuff, because it lets us know, regardless if you're in an early recovery or in long-term recovery, it's always good, important to have supportive people around you, even when you visited old neighborhoods, old gatherings where you used to affiliate yourself with friends. It's always good to have somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Not because a lot of times we may test the waters and say, "Nah, I got it." I don't think I do. Just go around them. But a lot of times the article says, if we let somebody who's near and dear know that what we're going through, that would be a big plus, right? And so the next one we're going to talk about, and that is your recovery environment may need to be elsewhere. The article says in many cases, the only way recovery is possible by changing your location. So it says, for example, 15% of U.S. soldiers in the Vietnam War were addicted to heroin, right? Once they were rehabilitated and sent home, only 5% relapsed into the addiction within the first year and only 12% after 3 years. They did a study, all right? And so that's an evidence-based study that that they did on the United States soldiers who was in Vietnam. And so a lot of them got addicted to the heroin over there, right? And so when they came home, they changed the environment. A lot of them succeeded, a lot of them blossomed, but there was a small percentage that struggled because for whatever reason, they needed more help or what we call more hand-holding. Some people just able to just bounce back. They are resilient like that. This article goes on to say that may be the highest success rate of addiction treatment ever recorded. What made it so successful? They were physically removed from their addiction environment and were replaced into a radically different recovery environment. And so, word to the wise, if you're able to transfer, relocate, just decide not to hang around people, places, and things that may get you into trouble, do so. Find some positive people that you can hang around and have a good time with. So it says they went from Vietnam to America, a foreign land to their homestead, a hostile environment to safety, wartime to peace. Nothing in their life was the same. So there was no reason for their previous lifestyle to stay with them either. And so a lot of times we look at our neighborhood, especially when you come from a battle-torn neighborhood such as inner city, whereas there's a lot of gun violence or there's a lot of fighting, a lot of violence that's going on. That's what we call similar to Vietnam, where so much commotion is going on. Where if we able to only remove ourselves or relocate our families to a new, different environment, the chances are we will blossom. And so I know it's a struggle. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that at all. A lot of people don't have the luxury to do that. But I am suggesting find some positive people because there are a lot of successful people. The studies have proven that came out of a lot of these inner city violent environments that has prospered because they had the coping skill to refrain from a lot of negativity. All right. And so it says, it's the perfect metaphor for how radically different your recovery environment must be from your addiction environment, right? It says, but it also teaches a literal lessons. Completely changing location will help you avoid your old addictive lifestyle and start your new life of recovery. However, it may be very difficult or impossible for most addicts to abandon their current life and move to a new city. Fortunately, many rehabilitation centers offer inpatient treatment. With inpatient treatment, you are treated at a facility away from your home and usually life situation. This is a very effective way of using relocation to aid the recovery process. And so we're constantly going over these material because it's like a book. You may read it the first time, and you may get something out of it. But if you read it the second and third time, you're gonna get something else out of it. You're gonna get something out of it. You're gonna get a different understanding of it. And so a lot of times we may read something and we may do what we call a literal drive-by. What I mean by that, we may just go over the material, run through it, and that's it. But if we take our time and to digest it and pause and assess what we're reading and comprehend it, then we will get a better understanding of the material. And so that's it for this week. It's been a blast for me. So I'm glad that he showed up and to be a part of what we're doing here at Capital Recovery Center. Until next time, I want everyone to remain safe, and I'll see you until the next episode. Take care of yourself.